Welcome back to Inside the Release, the weekly podcast where we walk through the latest updates to the Rev.io platform and talk about what they mean for you and your team. I'm Justin.
And I'm Savannah. It's episode 3, and I have to say, this week's release is a big one.
It really is. This release, we have a ton of new functionality to dig into, plus a few bug fixes. Let's dive right in.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the headliner this week is something sales teams have been looking for. Teams can now track and manage potential deals in the system using our new opportunities feature.
And it's built out really well. You can create an opportunity directly from a customer record, and it includes all the key details you'd expect: owner, expected amount, close date, source, opportunity type, stage, and status.
What I love is the visual stage progression indicator and the color-coded status badges. At a glance, you can see exactly where a deal stands without having to read through everything.
And when a deal reaches its conclusion, you can close it as won or lost, and it stays visible in your lists for reference. So your history is always there.
For finding your opportunities, there's a new opportunity list screen under customers in the sidebar menu, and each customer profile now has an opportunities tab in the quotes section showing that account's full deal history.
This is a feature that's going to change how a lot of teams work day to day. Having opportunities natively in the PSA means sales and service are finally working out of the same system.
Couldn't agree more. And opportunities don't stop there. There's also a new activity tab on the opportunity detail screen. Sales teams can log time-stamped notes directly on an opportunity, which creates a shared audit trail of interactions, updates, and decisions.
So if multiple people are working a deal, everyone can see the full history of what's happened, and managers can review activity across all users to track deal progress and coach their teams. This is really useful for visibility across the sales team.
And this is just the beginning for the activity tab. Over time, it'll be expanded to function more like the activity tab on tickets. Think formatted messages, image attachments, and even the ability to send emails to prospects directly out of the system.
That's going to be a game changer for sales teams when it gets there. But even in its current form, the audit trail alone is really valuable.
And for administrators, you can configure opportunities to match your organization's sales process using the new Opportunities tab in System Tables. This is where you set up the custom options that will appear in your dropdowns. Things like opportunity types, sales stages, opportunity statuses, and opportunity sources. So if your team uses specific stage names or deal categories, you can define those here and they'll show up throughout the Opportunities feature.
You can also build out custom fields for opportunities through the Custom Field Builder, which will appear in a dedicated section on the Opportunity Detail screen. So the whole Opportunities feature is really end-to-end. Out of the box, it's useful, and it's also fully configurable to fit how your team actually sells. Really impressive feature set.
Okay, next up, time entries get a big upgrade this week. And before we get into the new list view, there's a foundational update in System Tables worth calling out first. Time entry reasons now include a type column. Administrators can classify each reason as ticket, admin, or all. The admin type is a new one. It enables time entries for work that isn't tied to a specific ticket, like meetings, training, or internal projects.
That's a meaningful addition. It means time tracking in the system can now cover the full picture of how your team spends their time, not just ticket-based work.
And that sets the stage nicely for the bigger time entry feature this week, a centralized time entry list accessible from the service module in the sidebar menu.
This is one of those features that's been a long time coming. You can filter entries by start and end times, billable status, type, reason, and technician. You can arrange columns, save and share custom views, search across multiple fields, and export to CSV, Excel, or PDF.
And time entries can be edited or deleted right from the list using the kebab menu on each record. No more hunting through individual tickets to find a time entry you need to update.
For service managers and anyone doing billing reconciliation, this centralized view is going to save a lot of time.
And rounding out the time entry updates, there's also a new clock in and out feature right from the main toolbar. Users can track their work hours for payroll with a running timer that shows elapsed time and lets them save time entries with optional notes.
Simple, but really practical for teams tracking labor time for payroll purposes. Everything is right there in the toolbar. No extra steps needed.
Next up is a great update for managing spam emails. Administrators can now configure spam filter rules for inbound emails using the new Spam Filters tab in the email category on System Settings. Rules can automatically discard or quarantine emails before they ever become tickets, which is going to reduce a lot of clutter for teams with high inbound email volume.
Projects also got some love this week. There's a new job costing widget on the stage side panel that gives project managers real-time visibility into project profitability. It aggregates sales, costs, and the difference between the two as ticket line items change.
That's huge for keeping projects on budget. And costs are broken down by materials and labor. So if margin is slipping, you can see exactly where it's coming from before it becomes a bigger problem. Having that financial picture right there on the project without having to pull a separate report is exactly the kind of visibility project managers need.
There's also a new project management permissions section. Administrators can now control which users can create, edit, and view projects. And there's an important note here that we want to make sure everyone hears. With this update, global administrators are currently the only users who can access the projects module by default.
So if you or someone on your team no longer sees projects in the sidebar menu, that's why. You'll need to contact your system administrator to get your permissions updated.
Please don't skip over this one. If your team uses projects regularly, make sure your administrator knows to review and update permissions after this release.
Next, you can now assign a default ticket type to customer accounts when a new ticket is created for that customer, whether manually, through email, or via the portal. The system will automatically apply that default type. You configure it on the new Service Information tab on the customer account.
For teams managing customers with very different service needs, this just removes a step and reduces the chance of tickets being created with the wrong type.
And this next one is great for field teams. You can now assign multiple techs to a single task. Similar to how you'd add attendees to a calendar event, you can now select multiple techs in the Assigned To field when creating or editing a task from tickets, the calendar, the dispatch board, or customer accounts.
Tasks with multiple techs will show up on each assigned tech's calendar and on the dispatch board, so everyone who needs to know about it knows about it. It's really useful for jobs that require a team on site. No more workarounds for multi-tech assignments.
Next, administrators can now configure custom fields for recurring services in the Custom Fields Manager. Fields can be defined per service type and appear automatically on the Add and Edit Recurring Service screens.
For teams that need to capture service-specific metadata, this is a great addition that doesn't require any custom development.
All right, let's wrap up with bug fixes. Just 3 this week, but they're good ones.
First, the copy button on a workflow is working again. It once again creates a duplicate of the workflow as expected.
Next, an issue where some quotes weren't appearing in the quote documents list for customers has been resolved. The system now correctly displays all quotes.
And finally, workflow emails now correctly send to contacts on tickets that were created by email. So if a ticket comes in through email, contacts will now receive automated workflow notifications right away, as they should.
Before we wrap up, we want to thank all of the clients who shared their feedback and submitted ideas. Your input directly helps shape the direction of the platform and the features we prioritize.
That's a wrap on episode 3 of Inside the Release. Opportunities, time entry updates, spam filters, multi-tech task assignments, custom fields for recurring services, project permission updates, and job costing, and a few bug fixes. What a release.
Honestly, one of the biggest ones we've covered so far. We'll be back next week with whatever the next release brings.
And if you've got questions about anything we covered today or feedback you want to share with the team, please let us know in the community. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening to Inside the Release. We'll see you next week.